I'm sorry to say this, but our son got the president's daughter pregnant. We need you to divorce him."
As both my in-laws looked apologetic, they came to me with this news. My husband, Robin, the main person involved, showed no signs of remorse and seemed indifferent. He doesn't feel sorry for making his parents apologize. To them, I responded, "That's fine, but you know my husband has debts, right?" To this, Robin oddly replied with a sense of pride.
"Debts can be sorted out with a remarriage, especially since she's the president's daughter."
I could only laugh at his carefree comment. Just wait and see. You won't be so relaxed forever. My name is Michelle, 50 years old. I work as a company employee and support our family. I've been married to my husband, Robin, who's 5 years younger, for 20 years. Our daughter, now in college, lives on her own. If I had to describe Robin in one word, it would be indecisive. He acts impulsively without planning and doesn't seem to learn from his mistakes. I used to think he was a man of action, but after marriage, I often found myself at the mercy of his whims. His father is similar, so maybe it's genetic, but Robin doesn't have bad drinking habits or gamble extravagantly. He does help with childcare to some extent, so despite some dissatisfaction, I've turned a blind eye and continued our marriage. However, I've always had a major issue with my in-laws. They have a habit of living beyond their means, and we've had to cover their living expenses from our family budget. My father-in-law, Justin, hops from job to job, never sticking with one for long, always complaining of tiredness or bad work relationships. My mother-in-law, Pauline, works part-time, so her income is limited. Despite their situation, they never cut back on their lifestyle and keep accumulating debt. When they're in trouble, they come to us for money. Justin spends his money on hobbies, like golf clubs and fishing rods.
"Michelle, I'm sorry, but could you send us some money again? I fell in love with this expensive golf club and just had to buy it. I promise, I won't waste money next time."
Meanwhile, Pauline splurges on designer clothes, bags, and jewelry. "I'm sorry, Michelle. Could you send a little money? There was a new release of my favorite brand, and I ended up buying a lot. I'll try to save from now on, I promise." My in-laws live day to day with no regard for the future. I wonder why they spend money so thoughtlessly. They apologize to me, but keep repeating the same mistakes, so I doubt their sincerity. I, on the other hand, grew up with a father who worked in an office and a stay-at-home mother. Both were serious and preferred a simple life. So, in our house, apart from special occasions like Thanksgiving, birthdays, and Christmas, we didn't indulge in luxuries. I learned from my mother how to enjoy saving and live within a limited income. Thanks to this, I never struggled during my college days living alone. That's why the lifestyle of my in-laws doesn't sit well with me, and it's always bothered me. I've been supporting my in-laws with $700 a month while securing my daughter's tuition fees. I continue to work to support both. It's hard to accept cleaning up after my in-laws' financial mess, especially when it's not for my daughter's future. At first, Robin apologized about his parents, but gradually his gratitude faded. Recently, he's been going out drinking and playing more often. He even started demanding more pocket money. I was really angry about this. Most of the $700 I send to his parents comes from my earnings. He should be taking care of his parents, but since I earn more, he's been begging me to pay. And now, he's asking for more spending money. Our relationship became strained, and our arguments increased. One day, he said to me, "Can you please increase my allowance? I'm going drinking with my subordinates.
It's embarrassing not to pay when I'm the superior. It's part of my job.
You just said that last time and spent a lot at the bar. Stop trying to impress your subordinates by paying for them. We've already stretched thin with your parents asking for money this month.
What's that supposed to mean? Are you blaming my parents? I can't let them suffer.
Then you should be the one sending them money. They're your parents. I'm the one paying most of it. How can you be so arrogant? Our arguments have been ongoing like this. Lately, we barely speak to each other. It's really frustrating. I try to act normal when our daughter comes home, but the atmosphere is awkward. She seems to have noticed the tension between us. If there's anything you want to talk, I'm here for you. I feel bad for making her worry, but I'm fed up with my in-laws' spending habits and Robin's attitude. So, I've been considering divorce. Half a year later, Robin's request for money and my in-laws' demands suddenly stopped. Maybe they've finally come around? I hoped so. But I soon realized that was a big mistake. One day, I received a phone call. It was my day off, and Robin was out. I was home alone. I casually answered it, but it revealed Robin's secret. And it wasn't just that. When I checked his computer, I discovered even more shocking truths. The anger made me shake. His secret was a complete betrayal to me, his wife. I was naive to think he had become quieter because he was reflecting on his behavior. My love for him had already faded, but this secret was the last straw for our marriage. I decided to contact someone right away. Later, I waited for him to return. Several hours after the phone call, he came back in the evening. He looked puzzled, seeing me sitting sternly on the living room sofa. I faced him squarely and started the conversation. Welcome home. You're late. I need to ask you something.
Why so formal? What's the matter?
You have debts, don't you? You got some nerve keeping secrets from me. At my words, his face changed, and he started to panic. He shifted his gaze around, muttering, and trying desperately to cover up. Of course, I wasn't going to let that pass. I stared at him intently, conveying my unwillingness to accept any excuses. In the midst of this tense atmosphere, my cell phone suddenly rang. Seemingly relieved, he shouted,
You better answer that phone.
Honestly, I was in no mood for a phone call, but I had no choice, so I took out my phone. It was Pauline. Sorry for the sudden call. We have something important to discuss, and my husband and I are on our way over. We'll be there soon. She rattled off her message without waiting for my response and hung up before I could say anything. It seemed my in-laws were on their way to our house. It was inconvenient to have them come over so suddenly, but it was too late to stop them. I told Robin, we'll continue this conversation later, and started preparing for my in-laws' arrival. I was feeling terribly downhearted, knowing only trouble comes from them. Soon, they arrived. While serving tea, I asked them, What brings you here today? You seemed quite rushed on the phone. As I asked, their faces turned grim, and they started looking apologetic. I was taken aback by their sudden change.
Michelle? We're sorry. Robin got the daughter of my boss pregnant. The president and his daughter don't know Robin's married. It's a mess, so we need you to divorce him.
Pauline nodded in agreement. If you don't divorce him, my husband will lose his job. He finally got a stable job, and this will ruin it. We'll pay you, so please, divorce our son. Apparently, my father-in-law Justin recently started working at a construction company, whose president has a 37-year-old unmarried daughter, Olivia. She's a hard-working woman who missed her chance to marry due to her career. Justin, though irresponsible with money, has a humorous personality and good communication skills. He found out in a casual conversation that the president was looking for a husband for Olivia, and impulsively introduced Robin as a single man. Knowing that my marriage with Robin was on the rocks, he planned to have me initiate the divorce to facilitate Olivia and Robin getting together. But then, Robin accidentally got her pregnant. The president, after hearing of the pregnancy from Olivia, intended to have them marry immediately. So, they rushed over to ask me for a divorce. I was frustrated by my in-laws' absurd plan. It was sloppy and impulsive. I was appalled by my husband's readiness to jump into such a plan. I decided to proceed with the conversation and told my in-laws to stop apologizing. I don't mind divorcing. Given the circumstances, continuing our marriage with Robin is difficult. But you do know he has debts, right? Are you sure about this? That's right. He had a huge debt. He borrowed $70,000 from shady people. The call that day was a demand for repayment. I mentioned the debt not out of concern for my in-laws, but to avoid them complaining later that I hadn't informed them. His debt was a product of his indecision and my in-laws' carelessness. I definitely didn't want to be involved in paying it off. My in-laws, unaware of the debt, confronted their son, asking,
"What's this about?"
Robin, unfazed and even arrogant, was a stark contrast to his earlier nervousness. Thinking my in-laws were entirely on his side, his attitude grew bolder. He declared, confidently,
"With my remarriage, these debts will be nothing. Olivia is a wealthy president's daughter, and she's head over heels for me. If I ask her for money, she'll lend me as much as I need."
How can you be so presumptuous? Agreeing to a divorce is one thing, but you're the one at fault for cheating. I'll be sure to claim a fair amount of alimony.
Fine. I'll pay whatever alimony. Once I marry the president's daughter, I can easily afford it. If it means getting rid of an unattractive wife like you, it's a bargain.
Oh, really? Quite confident, aren't you? I found it ridiculous, but held back my laughter, knowing the turn of events that was about to unfold. He was about to be brought down to earth. At that moment, two furious figures appeared from the back room. My in-laws and Robin turned pale at the sight of them.
Enough of this nonsense. I've heard everything.
Robin, you've been deceiving me all this time. The two, emerging from the back, were Olivia and her father, the president. The president's face was red with anger, and Olivia, tearful, glared at Robin. In fact, when I had secretly checked Robin's computer earlier, I found emails between him and Olivia. I had copied her email address and secretly contacted her, revealing that Robin was married and was planning to marry her for her money while hiding his debts. Olivia broke down in tears upon learning she had been deceived, and the president was furious at Robin for lying about being single and misleading his daughter. So I invited them over to confront my husband as he returned. Robin was visibly panicked and began to make excuses to the president.
No, it's not like that. My relationship with my wife had already soured, and we were on the verge of divorce. The only person I love now is Olivia. Please, let me marry her as soon as I divorce Michelle.
Olivia, not the president, responded to his words. She exploded in anger, shouting, "Forget it! Like I would marry a man who hit on me while being married. And to top it off, he's in debt. It's the worst. I was completely deceived. I'll raise the baby myself, but I'm going to sue you. She covered her face and burst into tears. The president, comforting her, glared at my in-laws and Robin.
I'll have a lawyer demand alimony and child support. Be prepared.
He looked at me, and then left with Olivia. Left behind, Robin and my in-laws stood there, dumbfounded. Ignoring them, I delivered my message. Too bad. It looks like you won't be marrying the president's daughter. Meanwhile, I'll proceed with the divorce. I'll get a lawyer, so be ready. Hearing this, he started trembling. He, like his parents, started apologizing to me.
Michelle, I was wrong. I got frustrated during our fights and made a bad decision. I won't cheat again. Please, don't abandon me.
My in-laws joined in, pleading,
Please, give our son another chance.
Seeing them like this, I was utterly disgusted. Don't be ridiculous. There's no way I'd stay married to a despicable man like you. Getting a single woman pregnant while being married? Poor Olivia, to be deceived by such a fool.
Michelle, don't say that.
Shut up. I'm sick of your irresponsible spending and debts. You've taken me for granted for too long. I don't ever want to see your face again. Stay away from me. They were all crying, but that was no longer my concern. I left them behind and walked away. A few weeks later, my divorce from Robin was finalized. He tried desperately to reconcile, but I firmly refused, and he eventually gave up. Olivia also demanded alimony from him for their child. My father-in-law just didn't lose his job, but is now working in a very uncomfortable environment. They had to sell their house and now live in a cheap apartment. They are all working tirelessly day and night. I wish them the best in their hard work. As for me, I'm living in an apartment with my daughter, who's now working. She suggested we live together, worried about me post-divorce. She is very responsible with money and never asks for anything. In fact, she's so modest that she even refuses when I offer her pocket money. I'm really looking forward to our upcoming trip together, just the two of us.